Yeah, 2 years ago, I had a previous video to this. Don't watch that, just stay on here. And upon the release of Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning, why not finish my why I love the Mission Impossible films with these movies that actually made me love the franchise, starting with the first Mission Impossible film that I personally ever watched, which may come with a bit of bias, but yeah, it's one of my favorites, mainly with just how simple and fun it is. Like, if I was to recommend any of these films to my friends or just any regular person, like put them on the Mission Impossible bandwagon, I'm skipping straight to this one. Also helps that this is somewhat of a mini reboot for the franchise. Yeah, I know it still ties in with some of the events that happen in 3, like his wife, but it's still honestly the best starting off point for anyone skeptical about this franchise. And it does way more to connect to the subsequent films than the first 1 to 3 does. Also helps that this is a really, really goofy film. Middle of the movie, I was like, this is what Mission Impossible 2 wanted to be. This is what it should have been, not what we ended up getting. Or maybe it's just nostalgia and sentiment holding it for me. Found the ensemble one of the best, but I mean, aside Paula Patterson's character, everybody here had at least made at least one appearance, but still think she was one of the more memorable one and done characters, up there with like maybe a Thornton Newt, or a Jean Reno from the first movie. But I'm still a bit upset that we didn't really see Ving Rhames in any capacity till the end of the movie, but still, Benji reprised his role and he was still in, and it was even more integral to this film than the last one, and that was fun. Also, the introduction of Jeremy Renner's character, who I did enjoy, and I hope we see him in The Final Reckoning, please. Also, this movie's Mission Impossible, I love to call those like big scenes with the stunts. That climbing the Burj Khalifa was really cool, and then swinging back. I won't stand up like and act like I can do it, but I just have to admit it wasn't really as exciting as some of the other ones, but it was such a really cool scene either way. Anyways, this is one of the 2 films, at least from memory, that really lived up to the name. Well, to be honest, the film as a whole really lent on that Mission Impossible name, because it feels like the guys are trying to really catch up on themselves. The original plans keep on getting busted, the gadgets are breaking down, weather is not on their side, the traffic is not on their side. I just even love how the film, he has these Russian agents trying to do their job, making it harder for Ethan and his gang, like we have in Dead Reckoning 2. But even the movie's conclusion, they basically lost at the end. It was too late, the mission failed. Some could say,
it's impossible.
Say that again?
but yeah, they just made the closing moments really tense, and it's almost unmatched. See, as I said, out of pure entertainment factor, this is the best Mission Impossible film for me. I'll admit, outside of that final act, which I could also say is arguable on its own sense, this is not the best movie at anything in particular, but I feel like it just reached the high ceilings for everything though, which cements it as one of my favorites. But I would admit there's one caveat for this film that really holds it back, and the antagonist sucks. I think we can admit that, and everything around that was just not great. But outside of that, it's perfect film, A1.
Mission accomplished.
Brad Bird did Mission Impossible 4 and gave us Tomorrowland afterwards, which meant Christopher McQuarrie was now at the helm, and he has directed each movie since 5 till now. And originally, this one and the last one were on my top 2, Mission Impossible 4 and 5, because these were the ones that I personally grew up with when I was younger. These are the ones I remember watching in TV before going to like high school or something. And I remember that this movie also came out around the same time as Spectre. But yeah, 5 gets better and better on every rewatch. Just as enjoyable as the last film, and that intro, unmatched. Having the Mission Impossible scene right there, which Tom Cruise, absolute insanity, actually doing that, but it sets the tone for the entire film, to be honest, which might be why I really enjoyed this film when I was younger, because it's just packed with so many action moments, so many cool stunts, and it's really just everybody aura farming in general. And where the last film felt more like a spy espionage type film, this one was just a gun-ho action film. Like every minute we have a fight sequence, we have a car chase, we have something. The opera scene was super cool in this. It felt like a mission straight out of the Hitman game or something. Car and most of the bikes chases in this, it just gives you that sense of insanity, like Tom Cruise doing all that stunts in real life, not wearing any protective gear or anything, just wearing a shirt. It's just well directed, and you feel the pace and everything. And I remember comparing Dead Reckoning with Fast and Furious, and damn, some of the car chases in these movies, like Fast and Furious, that's your entire thing, and you're like being put to shame here. The other Mission Impossible scene was somewhat disappointing, I cannot lie. It was tense too, but can we talk about how they made Ethan Hunt like Superman in this movie? He was everywhere and on everything, like that bike chase, the car chase I was talking about, and everything. That all happened after he was dead for a bit.
Whoa. Are you okay to drive? A minute ago you were dead.
And being in this crazy ass car chase. I also love how this film lets you know that this is Ethan at his peak. He built up all this reputation from the previous missions that he has done. Like we see the girl at the start, and even Alex Baldwin's character talking about him being the living manifestation of destiny.
He has most likely anticipated this very conversation and is waiting to strike in whatever direction we move.
Sir, Hunt is the living manifestation of destiny.
I love that scene, by the way. But I also love how in that scene, you know Ethan is somebody in that room, but you just have to like guess and pick who he is before the reveal. And you see like when you know that Ethan is in that room, like rewind it, and you see like Ethan's acting when like the prime minister starts to talk, and you're like, hold up. He's like exposing the plan and everything, like just the way he didn't crack compared to Mission Impossible, the next one, when like he's pretending to be John Lark. I don't know, he just doesn't sell it as much in that movie compared to him acting here. Also, the antagonist, we finally get another good one. Solomon Lane, so good, we had to do him twice. I think he was better in the second film though, but just the rivalry between him and Ethan in this was just so entertaining, and the box callback from the start was just so satisfying. Ving Rhames also back as Luthor, I love to see that, and he was great in this.
For mere mortals, no. For me, I could have done this at home.
But Mission Impossible Fallout, and see, I have to apologize for my discredit to this movie because I honestly don't think I've ever really seen this film since it came out. And on a rewatch, simply as an all-round packaged movie, it's the best one in the entire franchise. It takes every piece of every film and makes this magnificent picture. Like, for example, the opening sequence in this. And knowing that it took us 6 films till we got something like this again, but this was straight up from the original film. And it's something that it's a shame that I remember what happened, because to watch that thing for the first time ever, it has to be like the coolest thing ever. And the movie is just really, really good. I just never gave it credit because, what was I think I was like 14, maybe 16 or 17 when I actually watched it. I think I was 14 when it came out. And maybe I was just stupid or something, but I never got attached to the plot at the time. Maybe I was just a bit confused as to what was going on. But I think the movie's overarching plot made it as good as it is. Like the intro, watching that happen for the first time is, as I said, a blessing. Because that entire sit-down scene, for example, when they're all talking about who John Lark is and everything. Is it Ethan? Is he being set up? Is it a trap? Everything over there was just done so well. And we also got that double twist. It was just crazy. Something else I feel I never really appreciated about this film is the acting of the extras. I feel like nobody ever talks about this because normally when the most basic stuff happens, they run. But there are 2 scenes in particular that really stood out for me. The first one is when they meet up with the White Widow and they're like trying to kill Ethan. Like instinctively, when you see people fighting or something, you're like just trying to watch and see like, okay, what's going to happen? Is this going to be like, you're just trying to look. But as soon as those guns start going up, everybody is dashing. And also like when Ethan is trying to chase John Lark and he runs through this office and Benji's talking to him, he's looking at the window. You see the interaction, like, the interaction he's having with the office workers there. I just love it. I gotta say, it feels like we are regressing a bit here with the stunts because on a technical level, I think the fact that Tom Cruise pulled off that halo jump is really, really impressive. But for first viewing, if you don't know anything about skydiving, it just feels, it feels basic. But that whole helicopter hijacking scene, him jumping into that thingy that, I don't know what the thing, what hell was wrapped, climbing up that helicopter, hijacking it, flying, chasing this guy. Oh my days, that entire segment was so, like, bro, I have no words to like describe it. Tom Cruise is risking everything for entertainment. It's insane. What a movie, bro. What a movie. What a scene. What an everything. Action scenes here just feel more redefined. The bathroom fight sequence is probably the best hand-to-hand we've seen in this entire franchise. And also the car chases in Paris was really good. One of the best, but I don't think it really reaches the level of the previous film, Mission Impossible Rogue, but still good on its own. The cast also here, really, really good. Did not talk about Rebecca Ferguson from the previous movie, but I think she's still good here. I don't even lie, she's still good here. It's just a bit of a shame that they binned like the entire dynamic that her and Ethan they were going for with both of them to bring back his wife that they had in the part 3 and part 4, but it's all good. I really wish we got that ship though. We finally get an IMF director to stay for more than one film till we didn't. And also more Ving Rhames action. He's actually more involved in this and he's on the field, And this was probably the best antagonist run we have seen since, Mission Impossible 3. Solomon Lane and Henry Cavill's character, like probably the best role I have seen Henry in personally. But yeah, Mission Impossible Fallout, probably the most flawless movie out of the lot. And also praise to its climactic ending. Like these films do not necessarily have to have an ending that climactic, but see, I'm all here for it if it's done well. And it's probably the best I have seen since maybe Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. I feel like both of them edge of the seat stuff.
A master of infiltration, deception, sabotage, and psych warfare. For all intents and purposes, ladies and gentlemen, a mind-reading, shape-shifting incarnation of chaos.
And finally, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. I'm just going to keep this brief. I have to say, it's still good, but not the level that I like. I remember when I watched this movie 2 years ago. I was like, this is probably the best I've seen in the franchise. And coming back from these 3 films to watch this one, yeah, it's really not up to that level. I like aspects of it. I think the action is still great. We got recurring characters again like Kittredge and the White Widow from the previous film. You know, I just found out that the White Widow is related to Max from the first film, and it makes sense because of when Kittredge says, "Oh, I've not seen you since you were like yay high."
Well, the Alana I remember was yay high, drinking hot chocolate in the Tuileries garden with her mother.
But yeah, that's just insane. Even new characters like Haley Atwell and Pom Clementine were great additions. Also, Shaw Wiggum and Greg Davis chasing Ethan reminds me of the guys from Mission Impossible 4, and I love that. Everything is fine. It just doesn't have that spark that made the last three amazing. And see, that's okay. It's still a really good movie regardless. But the big elephant in the room is the woeful antagonist, both of them. Unlike 4, that everything else about that movie was good, so you don't really notice that till like you actually start to deep it. This movie's piss poor build up and payoff for the antagonist. It just does not deserve to have that showed in it. So it just makes it an uncompelling film in that regard. But yeah, still stand behind the final film in a few weeks. And I can't wait to see where they take this franchise. What do you think about the Mission Impossible movies? Let me know in the comments down below. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Bye.